first of all, many thanks to our distinguished speakers for dialing in today in a busy hours in the summer season. So it means a lot to us. And let me quickly introduce a line of very distinguished speakers who are all our members and affiliates of the SME Finance Forum, starting with Zafar Masud, the president and CEO for the Bank of Punjab. You'll see a set of questions that I plan to ask the two speakers that we have. And let me start with you, Zafar. I think you came into Bank of Punjab and you've taken it from really excellence in SME banking. SME, Bank of Punjab has won several awards in Pakistan as the best SME bank in the country, and there's a journey that you've carried through over the last few years. So let me ask you on where the vision came from and how do you drive institutional direction to get to where you got. So over to you, Zafar, and thanks for joining.
Thank you very much, Kamar, and thank you very much for SME Forum for giving me the opportunity to share and my experiences and thoughts about what we have been able to achieve in Pakistan in the SME space. Just to give you a context, last year in Pakistan, the increase in SME financing have been to 41%. It increased from 492 billion rupees to 491 to 692 billion rupees, which is almost $2.4 billion. Out of which the incremental amount, the 75 billion or the 201 billion has come through from BOP alone, which is almost 30, is almost 1/3 of the entire market. Pakistan is a overbanked market where you have 41 commercial and specialized institutions. And in terms of number of SME borrowers, they increased by 100,000, and 91% of them came through from Bank of Punjab alone. And the momentum is continuing. We are looking forward to now phase 2 of this program, which is supported by the government of Punjab. It's actually a hybrid of the federal government and the government of Punjab. And we're looking forward to, doubling these numbers in due course of time. To answer your question specifically, Kamar, while the pivotal role rests with the CEO as for any other initiative, but the buy-in of the sponsor and the board is absolutely critical. So and this is also rests with the CEO how well he'll be able to convince, he or she will be able to convince the sponsor and to the board to go in that direction. It's always difficult for a country like Pakistan where there is a limited financing track record to SMEs, and there is some kind of a narrative that SMEs are not the good credits to be focused on. It's very difficult to convince the sponsors and the directors to look that way. But we have been able to crack that trip, and the board and sponsors have done through. And we have now proved to them that in the program that we are running right now, we have been able to recover 96% of the amount that was due for payment. And all in all the way, the CEO role is important, starting from the structuring to making sure that the structure is done such a way that the money goes to the purpose that it's given for. The second one is the operational and the monetary piece. The CEO has to be very actively involved in monitoring and the operational execution of the facility. And last but not the least, and perhaps the trickiest of the entire equation is the collection piece. I would say it's one of the easiest thing is to give money to anybody. It's the most difficult thing to recover that money. So the collection piece has to be driven, without any, in a very ruthless fashion by the CEO himself. And then we tend to ignore the fact that we don't go through the impact assessment report. Impact assessment plays a key role because that helps you in figuring out what kind of people you need to target for in order to expand the program. So women, climate, and regions for that matter, businesses for that matter, comes very handy of which area you need to focus on to keep your defaults under control. Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, is a very complex market. It has 882,000 square kilometers of land mass, and it has 250 million people. Just to draw an analogy for the benefit of our friends online, Zambia is actually 880,000 square kilometers, and their population is mainly 12 million. Pakistan is 250 million people. So it's a complex country, and the cost of acquisition of SME is very high. And the only way you can do the effective acquisitions through acquisition is through the digital means, and the digital means have come very handy in our case. We have been able to introduce program first time in Pakistan, where end to end there was no interaction with the SME. We did the assessment entirely based on the proxy data and the data provided by them. We also, by the way, cover introduced first time in Pakistan the psychometric analysis, and that is also doing wonders really. And then the AI tool is coming very handy too, not just in terms of assessment of the credit and monetary, but in the collection piece too. So the vulnerable piece, the AI have been able to identify, and we've been able to pursue them in a more rigorous fashion than the others, to make sure that the entire value chain comes through and give the desired results. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, we need to look at the solution for SME in a holistic way. It is not merely just lending of money, but it is about giving them the facility portrayed, as well as helping them out at time, even on the preparation of preparing the feasibility note. But technology remains the heart of everything. Really. Thank you.
Thank you, Zafar, for really setting the stage and driving excellence. And I'll come back to some of the points you mentioned as we go forward. There are a couple of questions in the chat which talk about Andres asking, how do you build a robust SME financing platform for underserved, which links it to very much to the segment. Also, ensuring delinquencies contained given an inherently higher risk. So, and the third aspect was more around the end-to-end digital onboarding you mentioned without the human interface. How is it facilitated? So, I think so. Maybe I'll turn to you first to reflect on how do you drive innovation in your institutions, then to underserved segments, and then to really the questions that I put forward for you. Thank you.
Kamar, and I must say, extremely enlightening discussion which is going on, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it, especially Irene's, new terminology she's going. They're disrupting the disrupted ones. Frankly, we consider ourselves as disruptors. But to be honest with you, after the third discussion, I'm believing to be a candidate to be disrupted really by people like Carl. So, 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 so Gabbar, we really do not have a choice but to grab it, but to work with both of the digital side and the structuring side. On the digital side, inside Manoj talked about the role of the sovereigns in terms of providing the necessary risk capital support. To be honest with you, I would see Bank of Punjab shifting the gears, which we have to a very large extent, and start working on three constituents. One is obviously the international social financing institutions, which we are doing on the skill side, especially on the SME skill side. We're working with the and then working we're working with the provincial government and the federal government on the guarantee side, for the loss coverage piece, the blanket finance piece. The second one is working with on the structuring side, with people like Irene and all, in terms of how we will structure it in such a way that we'll be able to mitigate the risks of default on day one. And last but not the least is, and the most important was to collaborate with people like, Carl and all, in terms of building our capacity. Look, the technology is evolving so fast that, in order for the banks to do anything on their own, which is worthwhile, they have to collaborate with the others. They have to join hands with the others. We cannot do anything on our own. And even if we are doing it, we'll always remain behind the curve. So really, as I said, we are ready to be disrupted, but as a collaborative partner to people like Carl and all. Uh, you know, the uh, the early stage innovation actually comes through the from the top. You need to introduce the culture. Richard talked about, the buy-in from the executives. I forgot about it. In fact, the most important thing is once you get the buy-in from the sponsors and the board, the buy-in from the executive becomes very, very important. And taking them through the process, which is a long drawn out of the box process, you need to reward people on the way. So cultural shift is necessary to inculcate the innovation piece, rewarding the people, encouraging them, irrespective of how absurd the idea is. You still have to encourage people to come out and present their ideas, and then you out of that absurd idea, something comes out which is worthwhile and doable. uh, Look, there is a threshold that you need to create within your organization as well for people making mistakes, and that's how you encourage people to do innovation and come out with the ideas and thoughts which are not the run of the mill but new ideas where you can actually be able to disrupt the market to a large extent. Uh, there are always skepticals on the way, uh, starting from when you're convincing your sponsor and the board to the people in your management, but then the regulator also, especially, uh, another important aspect is the specialized institution. For people like us, commercial banks who does not have any special area, sir, they need to really find those specialized areas now in this competitive world, and then pursue that in collaboration with the other partners. And that's where you really be able to introduce innovation and entrepreneurial mindset, I would say, Kamal. Um, there were some questions that's been posed to me. Just to, I picked up one. Please let me know if there are others. Somebody asked, how are we doing this end to end without consulting and touching the human body? Look, it's actually, we are relying a lot on this on the proxy data. We are starting the application with the psychometric test, and then taking it on to the hybrid statistical application score model. And based on that one, at times we also access the customer is our deposit customers to see what the brand is in his or her account has been, and using this as a scorecard to determine the real real creditability of the individual. And based on it, then the card is issued. Now, card itself gives us, or the technology solution gives us, ability to control and regiment the disfaltings of the credit that you are extending. And in most of the cases, in case of, for example, SME card that we have launched, we have purposely put a negative list to the retail stores, to the restaurants, to all those areas which are not related to any businesses need, mainly wholesale people, so that and then we will, using the AI tool, we've been able to figure out whether the money is being spent to the right things or not. Same things as I said to you about the collections, where the only human interaction comes through when the person is not paying the money on the due date, and we really have to go out.
Thank you, sir, for the host of questions. But I think the time wouldn't allow us to cover that. But we will certainly come.
Send me those questions. I'll be happy to respond to them in writing and then share it with you, and you can share it with the people concerned.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what we can do for all the questions in the chat. I do want to pose a personal question, more a selfish question here from a forum standpoint, because I think we've been transforming the forum in many ways, and I love to hear from the speakers just one thought, one thing they expect forum to do more of as we go forward. Zafar, over to you.
Thank you, Gamar. Let me just reiterate. Found this to be, extremely fruitful. Um, but I have a bone to pick with you also. A bone to pick with you in terms of, how the format should be run. In my opinion, um, you have not been very judicious in terms of putting all the four very important themes in one webinar. I would suggest that each one of them deserves to be having a separate webinar. So, my recommendation would be to start using these more often, these webinars, and if we can declutter the subject, that would be great. I would also recommend that we should have some kind of thematic sort of structure on this. So one on the structuring piece, for example, how the people like Irene and all to come handy to help us out, and how the people like Carl can help us in terms of technology side. So if we can do, I find that to be even more fruitful in that sense. And lastly, which Manoj also talked about, is talking about the case studies. So if we have more time, obviously we'd be able to talk about case studies in detail, and that would be most helpful. And that, as he said, matchmaking will automatically, generate from there. Thank you, Kamal, and thank you very much for brilliantly conducting the whole thing and setting this up. I really, really found this to be very useful and very enlightening indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Zafar. Well noted, and definitely, I think this is our inaugural CEO series, and there'll be many more to come. And points well noted. Again, thank you so much for the conversation today. And like Zafar, you mentioned many more to follow. Thank you so much for joining today.